So a few weeks back, I made a video about Thomas Jefferson and asked you guys for your favorite founding father, and the result was an overwhelming cry for Benny Franks, the charming frat bro of history, discoverer of electricity, lover of turkeys and farts, or was he? Today we separate the man from the myth, but first, it's sponsor time. One thing we know for sure is that Benjamin Franklin invented the bifocals. And you wanna know where you could get some sweet frames for your sweeter face? Well, lucky for you, this video was sponsored by GlassesUSA.com. GlassesUSA.com is an online glasses emporium which cuts out the middleman and gets you some sweet prescription eyewear for up to 70% less than retail price, all from the comfort of your own home. Which really means no pants required. I myself got some glasses from GlassesUSA.com's over 2,500 styles, so now I can look like a cool person who is afraid of the sun, a librarian, a fashionable librarian. And now you too can get in on this action with a complete pair of glasses starting at only $48. Best of all, it's a risk-free experience with free shipping and returns, a 100% money-back guarantee, and a 365-day product warranty. So check out GlassesUSA.com using the link in the description and see the future. You with glasses on your face. It's great. Back to the video. Hello, welcome to Nerdy and Quirky. Here's some cool history. Let's kick things off with the most famous misconception. Benjamin Franklin invented electricity with a key and a kite. If you think that, you're in for quite a shock, because it's wrong on like a few levels. First, electricity is a force of nature, so saying Franklin invented electricity is like saying Newton invented gravity. It was always there. But moreover, Benny Franks didn't even discover electricity. The Greeks beat him to it by over 2,000 years. It was around 600 BCE when the Greeks rubbed fur and amber together and were like, hey, dried grass sticks to this? That's weird. They had unwittingly discovered static electricity. Then 2,000 years later, in 1600 CE, an English scientist named William Gilbert published De Magnet, which used the word electricus to describe this attractive force. And then it was only over 100 years later, in 1743, when Dr. Archibald Spencer introduced Benjamin Franklin to electricity. You see, Dr. Spencer was basically the Bill Nye of 18th century Boston. He was a popular science lecturer, and Franklin wanted to see what all the fuss was about. What he got was demonstrations of electricity shooting across tables and people, which is cool, and Franklin was like, I never was before engaged in any study that so totally engrossed my attention and time. The dude was obsessed. Over the next few years, he'd host electricity parties in his house and like electrically charged his guests and then made them kiss. Life was weird before Netflix. And then in 1752, on a stormy day, he decided to test his hypothesis. Not that electricity exists, but that lightning was electricity. Just a giant version of those sparks you might see if you get shocked. So he sent a silk kite to the skies with a metal key attached to the string. And this kite was not struck by lightning. If it was, he would have died. How do I know this? A Russian professor tried it like a year later, and guess what happened? He died! What actually happened was that he touched the key and felt a shock, meaning it must have been charged by the remaining electricity in the air. And he published the results in Experiments in Observations on Electricity. Another thing published in that book was that he almost killed himself while trying to electrocute a turkey. Which brings us to myth number 2. Benjamin Franklin wanted the turkey to be America's national bird. And, well, kind of, but you're missing a key piece of information. All this birdie business started with the design for the seal of the President of the United States. It was to be decided by the first committee made of Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Benjamin Franklin. And like any design team, they couldn't agree on anything. Now, Franklin personally wanted some good old biblical imagery, but they settled on an eagle. And Franklin was like, sure, I guess. But he wrote a pretty hefty letter to his daughter that read, for my own part, I wish the eagle had not been chosen the representative of our country. He is a bird of bad moral character. I am on this account not displeased that the figure is not known as an eagle, but looks more like a turkey. But what about farts? Was Benjamin Franklin, founding father of the USA, entrepreneur, statesman, scientist, Into fart jokes? Hell yeah! In 1781, while living in France as the US ambassador, Franklin realized that European academics were stuck up and boring. You see, Benny Franks thought that science should be practical, useful to the common man, and when the Royal Academy of Brussels was requesting scientific essays that would prove to be more and more irrelevant and pompous, Franklin decided that it was time to make a statement. So he wrote a mock open letter called To the Royal Academy, or, as it's more commonly known nowadays, Fart Proudly. Basically it goes, everybody farts. Yeah, it smells nasty, but it's dangerous to hold in, so you know what you science people should do? Invent something that makes farts smell like perfume. And then as his final mic drop, he closed the letter with, if you invent that, everything else you've done would be scarcely worth a farthing. Farting, but he hyphenated it, so it's a pun. It's a gosh darn pun. Somebody sound the air horns. Well, that was just some cool history on Benjamin Franklin. Now, what about you guys? What would you get the Royal Academy to invent? Tell me down below. Don't forget to consider picking up some fresh specs at glassesusa.com with a link in the description. But either way, have a lovely day.